Today's episode of the Third Power Life podcast was actually a live that I did yesterday. And this is all leading up to the Quest beta that I have this weekend. I'm super excited about. But I wanted to share it with a broader audience because I think it's really important. And the next 2 days are going to be talking about the drifter versus the commander. And what does it really mean to be a drifter versus the commander? And tonight's episode is about being the drifter. So I hope you enjoy this replay of the live, and I'd love to hear what you think. If you could, like, subscribe, comment, it means the world to me. It really does. And I look forward to hearing your feedback. Welcome to my journey of self-discovery, life balance, career success, and business creation. This podcast works to answer the question of how successful professionals like us stop drifting and get focused on keeping our careers and businesses growing rapidly while having a full, balanced, and vibrant life that we absolutely love. What we call the Third Power Life. And this is the Third Power Life podcast. And welcome to the first live that I've done in a long time. This is going to be a lot of fun. First, I am having some fun with my new technology. That's my Restream studio. So going to be working with that a little bit, and then also make sure I turn off my own ringer because there's nothing quite like being interrupted on your own stream by your own cell phone. And one of the things that I really am looking forward to talking about today is talking about drifting versus being in command. And I did my I did a TEDx talk about that. You can find that on screen now, where I talked a lot in my TEDx talk about the challenges that I had in my life being a drifter and not really having a plan. Right, I was working hard. I was air quotes successful, but as I like to say in my talk, my entire plan was work hard, get promoted, make more money, repeat until you die. Not a great plan. So, in that talk, I outlined the difference between a drifter and a commander. But one of the things that I have realized that in that time, I've not really gone much deeper on what really is a drifter and what is a commander. So I wanted to take some time tonight to talk about that. I also have my program coming up at the end of this week on the 29th. That's Saturday. That will be my Quest Find Your Personal Purpose program. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that too. But for now, I wanted to talk about what is a drifter. And the primary difference between a drifter and a commander is really about personal purpose. And that's why my Quest program, it's why I created it, honestly, is that we have an epidemic in our world today of people that are just drifting. They don't have a definite plan. They don't have a real purpose that they're after, and they don't know what they're going for, right? And that's something that I desperately want to change. I talk all the time how, my personal mission is, one, to make the song Cats in the Cradle just a song and not a story about anybody. And it's about, as a father, if you have your purpose clear and in focus, you can make better decisions. So, what is a drifter? That first thing is a lack of a clear purpose or direction, right? Um, we have undefined goals and aspirations, or they're hazily defined. For so much of my life, it was like, I want to make more money. I want to be rich, what does that even mean, really? Right? There was no definite to it. Um, and when it came to making decisions, I didn't have a guidepost to go by, right? There wasn't anything that helped guide my decisions because I didn't have that long-term goal like I have now, right? I want to make the world a better place. I want to change my mission, right? And so as a drifter, if you don't have that, as the wind blows, you just change direction and you go a different direction, right? That's kind of the way it is. The next characteristic that kind of in line with that is drifters are easily influenced. They're indecisive, right? Um, what's the song? If you don't stand for anything, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, right? And that's the same for drifters. Um, as a drifter, and I've been there myself, I struggle to have an opinion because what do I stand for? I don't know, just whatever's going to make life easier. Not a great way to go, right? Um, the next person is, for a drifter, you have difficulty handling adversity when stuff does happen to you that is not positive. That's not where you want to go. You tend to just kind of like shut down, right? Um, it, it it contributes to your like low self-confidence, and there's just no room for personal growth because you're too busy in the victim mentality, right? That's that's what that drifting leads to. You don't have that, you know the spine, right? You don't have your purpose that's giving you, here's what I stand for. No, I'm not doing that. It's just like, okay, whatever. Play-doh. Right? The Play-doh spine, shift it however you want it. Been there way too much in my life. um the next item is procrastination, poor time management, right? Yeah, I often wanted to start my own procrastinators club. I just never got around to it. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Um, but seriously, if you don't have something to go for, if you don't have a purpose behind you, it's really easy to put things off. Because here's the procrastination is, I don't want to deal with the pain of doing something, so I'm going to distract myself with something else. Squirrel, right? And that's what procrastination is. It's not until the deadline is right here, oh my God, you've got to get it done or you're going to get fired, that you finally have the pain of not doing it is more than the pain of doing it, right? And that's because we don't, you know, if I hate my job and I really don't want to do something, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna do it. It's just not gonna happen until I have to, right? But if I know what I'm after, if I know what my purpose is, if I know why I'm doing what I do, sure, do it in a heartbeat, right? So that's where, being in command takes that control. If you're just drifting, you're going to procrastinate. You're going to have terrible time management, right? The next item is being on, you're dependent on external validation, right? It kind of comes back to not having your own opinions, right? I'm looking, you know, my self-worth is based on how I view what you see me as. That I had a really painful painful insight into myself. I did a fantastic program with my coach Mark on last Friday, and one of the things that's for me is my perfectionism. For me, perfectionism is if what I do isn't perfect, it's a direct reflection of my self worth, right? Which is one of the challenges I've had of getting on here and doing a live, because you know what? It's not going to be perfect. I'm looking at this monitor and not the camera. And so it looks silly, or, oh, I'm looking at I see all of these things that are wrong. And it's like, well, you're not a professional, you're not worthy, right? But the reality of it is that for a drifter, everything is like that. Did I do a good job? Am how many likes did I get on Instagram for my meal photo? Or it's we're looking for validation outside of ourselves. And the reality of it is the only true validation is here, right? But that's part of being a drifter is you're looking for that external validation. And you know, the other side of being a drifter is we're being influenced by our environment, right? So we have toxic relationships, uninspiring work environments, all of these negative things, and we don't have the skills to deal with them, right? And so it continues to compound on that drifter mentality that we have, right? And I'm here to tell you that that doesn't lead anywhere good. Um, you can look at examples, and I don't want to use anybody in particular as an example of a drifter, but you look at people who are talented artists. I've met artists that are just it's like mind blowing. They are so talented, right? But they don't have a clear purpose, and you know they're not able to take that talent and that passion and all of the stuff they have and actually turn it into a business, into a sustainable kind of career, right? It takes effort, it takes focus, and it takes having that clear purpose. I look at one of my friends, EJ Nieves, who has done that. He's the commander artist, right? Where he's taken it and has created a career around it. And I'm like, applaud to you, sir, right? That you're able to have that clarity of purpose and clarity of desire to move it forward. And it's almost you look at different entrepreneurs or people graduate. I talk about my story in my TEDx talk where here I was a successful professional, but I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't have a purpose. It was just work really hard, make lots of money. That doesn't do it, right? um and here's the thing, what that leads to, what the drifter's life, what does a drifter's life look like, right? It you feel stuck, you feel trapped, right? Without that clear direction. From personal experience, you feel despair, right? It's like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how to get out of this rut that I'm in. I go to work, from home to work and work to home to work to home. And you're stuck in that rut forever, right? You've got unfulfilled potential. And this is probably the most painful, even more than being stuck, is to know that I could be so much more and I'm not. That's, uh, that is the worst in the world. That being that drifter is being just stuck. That I know I could do so much more, right? And drifters often we lack meaningful connections. You're not able to go deep on a relationship. They're always kind of shallow, right? Um, and here's the thing, drifting, you would think it's easy. You just sit back and relax. The reality of it is, as a drifter has more stress, more anxiety than anyone else because they don't know where they're going. They're just drifting, and they're not in control of their own lives because they don't take control of their own lives. This leads to financial instability. It's like almost impossible to overcome bad habits, right? Because it takes energy, it takes focus, it takes clarity to overcome a bad habit or a negative influence or anything like that. And so, here's the challenge for me, and this is why, I hope you hear me, that because we all have drifting tendencies. Drifting is the kind of thing that we have to be fighting constantly. It's the entropy of the world, right? We have to constantly be putting effort towards not drifting, to staying in command. And if you think that you're just status quo, you're not. It's going down slowly, right? The world is moving towards chaos. And so we need to be constantly aware that, where does drifting lead us? Right? I said in my TEDx talk that, drifting takes us to a place, and that's not good. But what is that place? It's a place of stagnation. It's a place of a lack of growth. It's a place where we have persistent financial struggles, where we have an unfilling career, unfulfilling relationships. Our physical health, our mental health, our spiritual health is constantly declining. It's chaos. It's entropy, right? And even more, it's the deepening regret of a life not lived. What is it? The saddest words of, oh, how does it go? The saddest words of something in pen are these three words: it could have been. Um, I'm sorry I butchered that quote, but that's what bothered, what got me. That was what made, I have to make a change, right? I have to make a change. I cannot keep drifting through my life. And that's what, I want for you is, I don't want you to drift through your life, right? Uh, you know, um, I actually, one of the things that I did recently was I find your commander score. Find out where are you on the drifter to commander continuum, right? Um, it's just a little quick. It's like 10 questions of 10 questions for determining where you are on that continuum from drifter, seeker, navigator, commander, and just really to see, where am I, right? Where, because we're all on a continuum, right? And the reality of it is like, even myself, I know that I need to grow, that I need to get better. I have drifting aspects in my world, right? And that I need to be constantly working on that. And that's, so I always love these kinds of not a personality test, but those kind of surveys, or to see, where am I? What where am I on this continuum? And what's kind of my next path? Because I know that all of us, we know we don't want to just be a drifter. We don't want to be stuck where we are. We need more. We want to be more. And so that's what that's all about, right? Um, so the other thing, and what I'm, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, I left my old job last, on the 12th, and I'm really wanting to take this, my message and my business and all of this to that next level. So this, I know this weekend I'm actually doing my kind of beta for my Quest course. Very excited about. That's that one. Yeah, there we go. And it's something that I am super excited about, because I want to really take this to the next level, right? It's help people get out of drifting, moving into commanding, and to really make a difference in their lives, difference in the world, and take what I started with my TEDx talk, right? Take that and move it to the next level. So that's what that's all about. Um, so I encourage you to take the time to evaluate, so to think about yourself and think about where you are, and what are the aspects of your life where you are kind of drifting? What are the aspects where you are a little bit more in command? And I really want to help you become more in command of your life. That's really what I want. And um, yeah. Now, tomorrow I'm going to be talking about the commander and what we need to do to break free of the drifter's dilemma. Um, so yeah, take it to the third level, Paul. That's exactly right. Because that's what I want for everyone's life, is take your life to the third power. And yeah, so I appreciate everybody that has listened to this. If there's anything that I can do, feel free to reach out. Chat, ping, tag me on social media, and we shall talk again soon. I appreciate everybody joining in. And for those, I think this is the cool one. Yeah, all right. Made it so that you can do a QR code. I love technology. It's a lot of fun. I'm not going to lie. All right. Well, everyone, have a great evening. And until tomorrow, live your life to the third power. It's time to stop drifting through life and take command. That's why I've created my new course called The Quest: Find Your Personal Purpose. This course is your first step to taking control of your life by discovering your true purpose. Because if you don't know your purpose, you're just drifting. And that can lead to a life that feels empty or meaningless. And I don't want that for anyone, especially you. So join me on this incredible journey and let's discover your purpose together. Check out The Quest: Find Your Personal Purpose by visiting thirdpowerperformance.com/The Quest course, or clicking the link in the episode description. It's time to live your life to the third power, so don't miss out.